Hi, welcome to Pink Lion Podcast. Today's episode is just going to be me talking to you and giving you an idea of maybe, not really giving you an idea, but answering some questions potentially for you so that you can determine what is spirit communication and what isn't. Is my loved one trying to reach out to me, or is it just my imagination? It can be confusing, especially in those early stages. And as much as I want to help as many people as possible, I'm only one person. So I figured I would do a podcast that focuses on what happens after someone you love passes, when everything becomes confusing, overwhelming. You feel things, you think of them constantly, you notice signs. And at some point, you start asking yourself, is it just my grief? Or is it actually them? I know that grief can feel heavy. You have looping thoughts, the longing to just have them for one more day, the emotional waves that come and they go, the physical ache of losing someone you love. What happens is grief pulls you inward, right? It contracts. It doesn't expand. It makes it so that you're resisting the transition of your loved one. Grief can live in your body and set your nervous system off. It's heavy, it's repetitive, and oftentimes it overwhelms you. And nobody knows when you're going to want to move forward and put one foot in front of the other and take a step forward, or when you choose to stay in that, whirlpool of heaviness. What I can tell you, and from my own experience, your loved ones are trying to reach you. They're trying to communicate. And that often looks like, or it can look like, songs coming on the radio at that perfectly timed moment, or when you're thinking of them, a song pops on. It can be the radio turning on and off. It can be lights flickering on and off. It can be something as subtle as a thought popping into your head randomly. It can also be something that can sound like their voice in your own mind, or your own voice saying something that they said in your own monotone in your head. It can actually sound like somebody saying something in your ear, like they shouted something. It can be a memory that pops in while you're doing the dishes, or a fragrant smell that comes into your awareness when nothing at all should be happening in that moment. People report, smelling cigarette smoke, and they don't smoke, and they're in their house, nobody's around smoking. It can be smelling perfume or a favorite soap, those sort of things, out of the blue, tasting something all of a sudden. Mostly, though, it'll be the thoughts, those random thoughts that come in out of the blue. Those are the ones we miss, I think. The other ones can be kind of obvious and make your heart skip a beat, but it's the ones it's that subtle thought that pops in. Like I'm talking to you now, and suddenly I'm like, jelly beans. And I'm like, why am I thinking of jelly beans? That's so random. And when you can understand jelly beans is going to maybe be tied to something about your loved one, then you understand that they're trying to come in this way. What would happen if you allowed it? You didn't try to resist our societal no-nos on communicating with spirit. Sometimes people think what I do is taboo. To me, it seems perfectly natural, to communicate with those who crossed. And while I haven't been aware my whole life of this ability, I have had this my whole life. And make no mistake, we all have the ability. To what degree is a whole different conversation, but we all possess the ability. And some may have a calling to help others like me and go down this path, and others just want to communicate with their loved ones. I can tell you from my own experience that that's how it started for me. I only wanted to be a voice for Dad, who had lost his ability to speak near the end of his life. And so I went down this road so that I could learn to communicate with him, to pass on messages or things that he may want to have shared with his sons and his wife. And I felt like, well, I could hear him. I could feel him. I could understand him to a degree. Let me go with this a little bit further. Basically, I was curious. And so I pulled on that thread. And when I pulled on that thread, it was very confusing for me at first. Like, I thought I was going crazy. I didn't want to talk to anybody about it because I did feel like they would judge me or think that I was being dramatic or making things up. So I was concerned. My ego, of course, got in the way. I now understand that now. But those are very serious concerns because of how society feels about people like myself. I can assure you that at 52 years old, I'm not just going to make up the fact that I am now speaking to my father-in-law who's passed. And I think that the people who love me know this, right? But I get a kick out of watching people who know me, particularly in my neighborhood, and I've talked to them about, they'll say, what have you been up to? I haven't seen you around lately. I'm like, well, I'm a medium, kind of working on that the last couple of years. And they're like, oh, I get a kick out of it. So I understand the judgment still. The difference now is I don't care what they think because I know what I am. I know who I am and I know what this is all about. None of it is bad. Everything is there's just so much love, and Dad showed me that. And so I encourage you, okay, to listen to the subtlety because spirit communication will feel like this. It's subtle. It's calm. It is often unexpected. It isn't emotionally overwhelming, with the exception of when they zap you with their emotions. There are times that they want to come in with so much love, it can overwhelm you when you cry or when you first make that contact. It can overwhelm your senses because it is so real. But it's not usually emotionally overwhelming. And it does come with a sense of knowing. So rather than grief like restricting you or contracting, right? This particular type of communication expands. It like gets you excited, it opens you up and and then it softens and it feels different. So when they come in, it doesn't feel chaotic at all. It feels clear and concise, even if it's quiet. You have a knowing, but your brain will try to talk you out of it. I know mine did, and I know it does to everybody else that I work with. It will try to talk you out of it. And what I recommend you do is try to do something to keep your active mind busy so that you can receive the information more clearly. Okay. So I think this is where people get stuck. It's like if you feel something like we talked about. So let's say the random thought pops into your mind. This is where people get stuck. You can try to talk yourself out of it. We all can. I know I did. Okay. And I would say that that's not allowing it. That isn't allowing the information just to kind of come in. You're totally not open at that stage. You are open because you're not thinking about anything. A thought pops in, and then your brain will start to try and piece it together like a puzzle. But if you allow the information to just kind of come in and you're open and you just kind of follow along, and how that would be is, let's say we saw those jelly beans and you thought about jelly beans in your mind. And then you just sort of were like making a little short statement after those jelly beans, like, oh, I'm thinking about jelly beans, period. What would what do you think might happen next? Like, you might get another thought that, or you might get an image that pops into your mind's eye. It can look like a memory, or like in that imagination part of your brain, there might be something you see. There might be something you feel. Like, you might taste the jelly beans. You might experience like sorting them out, maybe putting them in a line, and then you make another short statement of, oh, I see, we're putting them in a line. And then you kind of get the next thing. And then you just sort of don't try to force anything, and you just don't try to make anything up. You just sort of observe, right? That's one way to try to communicate with them. The other way is just to ask for signs. That is what Pink Lion is all about. Pink Lion was my way to validate that I was actually in communication with my father-in-law. Because here's what happened. He passed. About a month and a half later, I was preparing for a trip to take his wife, my mother-in-law, from Vegas back to Omaha, because they had driven out, as they often did, twice a year, coming to and going from Las Vegas and Omaha, because they lived in both places. They're snowbirds, and Dad did not like to fly. So they drove, and mom had to go back somehow with all the stuff in the car. So she selected me, and I'm glad that I went with her. 2 days, or the day before we left to go out to Vegas, I was folding laundry in the closet, and I'm in the closet and I hear in Dad's voice in my mind, turn around. And I like turned around, and behind me on the shelf in my line of sight was his softball and the beanie cap that he wore near the end of his life. And as I'm processing this, I can like feel him, like his presence near me. And it was loving and kind of like it was comforting. I could like feel it buzzing around my skin, but then it was like, I don't know how else to explain it. It was like a frequency level up, like kind of in my body and my mind, where I could just like feel him. So that was my first experience with it. And then when I went on the trip, I mean, he would not shut up. He just kept talking to me, which is crazy. Like, I know it was just this really wild thing. But I remember my sister, who was sort of exploring this for herself. She and I were on this call, and I was in Vegas helping mom pack up, and I was talking to her outside, and she said, I can hear Bill, and he's telling me to tell you he's still here. He wants you to know he's still here. And I hear that kind of often enough for me to mention it today on this podcast, because that is the one thing I know for sure. They are still here with us. They tell me that to clients and to people I read on the lives. They want us to know they're still with us. They don't come into my awareness because I'm pulling them in. They come into my awareness because they're with you. And then there's a triangle of energy that goes through you, me, and spirit. And so you're pulling them in. So they're using my openness to communicate with you. So I always find it funny when somebody says, can you tell them I said blah, blah, blah? I'm like, you can tell them because they hear you. You may not be able to hear them back yet, But I'm hoping that that changes a little bit today. Because by being open, you're inviting in your loved one for a very close relationship, much closer than you would have ever been able to get from them in this lifetime. I can tell you that for a few different reasons. The first time I was taking a shower and felt all my loved ones sort of gather, I'm like, yeah, y'all, can we have some space, please? I'm just trying to shower. You want me to do something for you, I get it, but like, I'm just trying to wash my hair, you know? So they're with you all the time. And I just feel like just being open is the first thing, okay? So grief grief can trigger connection. So just like dad was a catalyst to kind of make me aware, expanding my awareness that he was still with us. Your grief can also trigger you. It's the catalyst effect, right? They can be a catalyst to you becoming aware. That connection brings like emotion. So connection bringing emotion is how I recognize this as like my heart expanding, like because I'm connected to my loved one. You would be connected to yours. And when we think of them, we just love them so much. Where you can take a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn here. You can choose to allow that heart expansion to crumble into the grief sadness because they're no longer here for you to physically be near, or you can choose to expand that love, knowing that letting them go and maybe being with them in this way can form a different bond, right? And so these are choices that we make. I chose the left, right? To expand and let love expand. And maybe because I had a curious mind, maybe because, you know, I was the in-law and not the actual child, but they loved me and treated me, my in-laws, like I was their own. So I don't know, I love my father-in-law so much. I just do. I love him so much. So I just expanded because I really wanted to talk to him. Um, and maybe that was because it had been months since we'd been able to actually have a conversation. He passed from glioblastoma, which is brain cancer, and he would say things. He was totally cognitively aware of everything, but th- the wire that connects his thoughts to coming out his mouth into language, that was all messed up. So if he wanted to say something, you know, it would come, he would get so frustrated 'cause he would be thinking one thing. I mean, the eye rolls that I was getting at the end, oh my gosh, so funny. Thinking back on it now, I just know him and he was just so frustrated trying to communicate things. So one day he's like, commit crimes. I'm like, what? What? He's like, commit crimes. And I'm like, you want me to commit crimes? Like, what? And then we both just broke down laughing because it was just so silly, you know? And so I just grabbed his hand and was like, just try a little bit better to communicate with me and I'll get you what you want, you know? So it's that sort of thing, right? Where it's kind of like this with mediumship, where you're trying to understand what they're trying to convey in a way that requires patience of yourself, patience with them. So if at first you don't succeed and you crumble because you're sad, it's okay. Still keep trying. Still keep trying to let your heart expand into that love frequency. It's going to take patience from you and patience from your loved one to make this work. You can feel both the connection and the grief at the same time. And that's going to happen. But that's that one foot in front of the other thing that we just talked about. Just because you're grieving, it doesn't mean you're also not connecting with your loved one. Okay. But as you heal, okay, maybe the communication becomes a little stronger, a little different, etc. So, how can you tell the difference between the two? I think you want to first ask yourself if it felt forced. Because if it felt forced, your brain might be making it up. Did it bring calm or did it create more chaos in your mind? I can tell you if it's anything negative or with ego attached, it's probably you. If it comes from a loving place and is positive, it is likely them. When they transition or pass, they leave the ego behind. Everything in this world that is of any sort is the opposite or the polarity of love. It is stripped when you go. Gone. You are love and light, period. End of story. That is it. That is all there is. That's why we come here to this dark, heavy, dense place to learn. Because we need to understand the opposite of love in order to return to ourselves and that love frequency. But we are here to learn. That's what I know for sure. And then did it feel like a thought or something you received? Like, it's not something you want to force. Like, just after this pod, like, don't think about it. Just kind of go about your day. When it does happen, and if it pops in, boom. That's when you kind of become open or your antenna goes up. This is an alert system. So grief is your mind plus the emotional loop, and spirit is the drop in knowing and subtle feeling. Okay, that's kind of how you can tell the difference. Some people are like, well, how do you get it to just kind of like go when you want it to? Well, that took some time and practice. Mediumship is not faint for the heart or faint of the heart. I don't know, whatever. It's not. It's not. It is a full on blood sport, to be perfectly honest with you. It is frustrating. It zaps your energy. I mean, if I do more than 3 like full readings in a day, I will be down for like 5 hours later in the afternoon to try and recover. It's not like I just bounce back like that. It drains you. So you have to, especially at the beginning, if you feel more tired or whatever, that is just rest. Okay. There are a couple of things that I do in particular that help me connect. One, because you don't want to force any connection at all. You create space for it. That's what you do. And you become open and you allow it. And that is really a practice that's going to take time, just like meditation or quieting your mind. It takes time to build that up. That first summer, that is all I worked on was quieting my mind because I was always, I mean, I'm go, go, go now, but I take time to quiet my mind. And I used to go on my walks and put AirPods in and listen to music or podcasts or the news. Oh, dear God, the news. Yeah, you try to turn that off because it's so negative and just you want to put good like mental nutrition into your brain, not doom and gloom. That is the first thing. But I now go on walks and listen to everything in my environment. So the birds, wind rustling through the leaves in the trees. I live on a golf course, so I hear golfers and the music playing at the clubhouse and airplanes going by and the cars driving by and, little animals and lizards coming in and out of the bushes, and my footsteps and the cracking of leaves underneath my footsteps. And so like I am paying attention to all of that and feeling the wind on my skin and the warmth of the sun on my skin and looking ahead and getting like observing everything around me. I'm constantly trying to sharpen my senses. So I utilize my walks, and that's a form of meditation that I practice that doesn't require me to use visualization or anything or sit in one spot and kind of go into a different world. That is how I quiet my mind. and it gives my mind something to do. And so maybe that's something that you could learn to practice for yourself. It takes time to get to that. So don't feel frustrated if you only get 5 or 10 minutes of that in, if that. Just do however long you can. Observe the thought that you kind of are bored with it, and then kind of go back to it if you can and observe the next thought that kind of comes in, because the laundry list of stuff that you have to do, that will also pop into your brain. It just does, especially at first. And I think it's important to just observe that stuff and kind of go back to where you were and try continuing. You don't want to say try again or start over. You just want to continue from where you left off. And then observe the thought if another one pops in. Don't try to stop it. Don't try to force it. Just observe it and then continue back where you were. Okay. That trains your brain to notice things, to observe things, to not have any judgment placed around that observation. And then the other thing that I do every day is called sitting in the power. Sitting in the power is, well, it's a mediumship practice, okay, to be aware of my own energy, of my own thoughts, of my own body's movements, feelings, anything going on with me in my energetic space or field around me. And so I start with that heart space. This is how I do it. And maybe some people do it a little differently, and that's perfectly fine. I'll put on some music, some piano music or some frequency music, something without lyrics that allows my heart to open and expand. And what I do while that music is playing for 3 to 5 minutes is I will think of things that make me happy. Like Dad and this whole mediumship journey, like how it all happened, it still amazes me. It's so loving and so just utterly amazing that it just opens my heart up so much. And so I will see my heart and observe my heart like light up like white light. And then I spread that throughout my body and I keep letting it expand further out until I hold it in place and I focus in on my breathing. And then I'm just like aware. I'm like a antenna, kind of picking up any frequency around me. And once I sit in that, and I don't try to change anything or do anything, I'm literally just like hanging out, just doing that and just holding that and just becoming aware for maybe 10 minutes or so. Then I pull it back. Because if I can't be aware of my own stuff, how am I supposed to know when something else comes into my energetic space? So, or my mind or what have you. So I sit in that power for a while and sometimes I can visualize plugging into the matrix, plugging in, or not the, but it's like plugging into the matrix. It's like a wire that goes to my head into source light energy. And like I just plug in. I mean, it's something as simple as that, that it's like I can get all the knowledge and the information to come in through my crown, you know, and that helps. So that's one thing. Being present. And I was talking about being present in everything, but like more particularly I show up for myself, and how I do that is I take care of myself too. I do my workouts, I eat well, I try to get enough sleep. And I just create some space for me every single day to have good like spiritual hygiene, but mainly just to have some grounding for myself. That's kind of where I do my walks and everything. So that's kind of my time, and being present and like having gratitude for the beauty around us, even if we see it every single day. Softening the mind is also the other thing. That's like I was telling you about the thoughts and It's just observing your own thoughts and softening your mind and just kind of giving your mind something to do that's observational. It can quiet all the other chatter so that we can all go through. So that helps me. Not chasing signs. Don't chase signs. Like if you want to create a list or a sign for your loved one to communicate back with you make it and you send it to them and give it a date that you would like it by, and then you just let it go. Like you don't start desperately looking for it everywhere. That's not kind of what happens because it will come to you when it's meant to come to you. They will make sure you walk right into it, usually. So I just found that the more you chase it, the harder it is to feel. And it just doesn't really come to you that way because that's like a restriction. You want the openness and the flow to kind of happen. So if you want to try a little something right now, so that's sitting in the power, we can just sort of practice trying to connect to your person. So if you want, think of your person and then notice what you feel, not what you see, and kind of stay with the feeling and not necessarily what you see. You can see something and then I want you to try and feel what that is around that. The other thing we can do is we could try a visualization if you'd like. The visualization is something that I like to do with live group, my live group. And I'm happy to do that with you. If you want and you're able and you're not listening to this at work or in the car, and you can always come back to it later if you want. But what I want you to do is just get into a place where you can relax your body. Just relax your body. And if you want, put something over your eyes to just darken your eyes so there's no light coming in. And what you can do is just sit back, put your head back, relax, take a deep breath in as big as you can, and exhale. Big deep breath in through your nose now and release it out to the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Take a big deep breath in, and on this exhale, do the same thing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Big deep breath in, and now become aware of your shoulders and everything. Just on this exhale, relax as many muscles as you can. One more deep breath in, and then exhale and relax even more. All of those muscles on your body relax. Starting at the top of your head, I want you to just do a scan through your body and make sure all of the muscles are relaxed as you make your way down towards your toes, especially the jaw and the roof of your mouth. Make sure your tongue isn't on the top of your mouth or the roof of your mouth. Make sure your mouth is maybe open slightly. Just make sure your jaw is not clenched. Your shoulders, your chest, your arms. Let your whole body just sink into the seat that you're in, and your body might feel heavier as you sink further into the seat that you're in. Don't hold any tension in your stomach. Let your stomach hang out down to your hips and your thighs, your calves and your feet. Don't point your toes. Don't flex your feet. Just relax them. In fact, if you want to twist your ankles a few times just to relax everything, make sure you're not carrying any tension there. All right. Starting at the top of our head again, we're going to light up the crown chakra, which is a little light at the top of the head. Then the third eye, which is between the eyebrows, just slightly above. Your throat chakra. Light that baby up. Your heart, the most important piece here. You want that heart to light up your whole body. with white light. I'll let you make sure that you get that all the way down to your toes. Then I want you to light up the solar plexus, which is underneath the heart in the upper part of the stomach region. Then the sacral, which is in the lower stomach, and the root, which is right at the bottom of the actual body portion. Light that up like a big Christmas tree, letting that light fill your whole body, and just hold that energy for a moment. And what I want you to do is imagine yourself at a playground. And I want you to look around the playground. It's a perfectly temperate day, warm, not hot, not cold. The perfect temperature you prefer. There are no clouds in the sky. Everything is clear. You're at a child's playground. There's slides and swings and spin wheels and monkey bars. There are children playing and laughing. You can hear them off in the distance as you kind of look around. There's grass and trees and dogs chasing frisbees. Everyone is in good spirits. I want you to take your shoes off, look down at your feet, make sure they're bare feet through that grass, feeling those blades of grass between your toes. Make your way towards the swing set, paying attention to all the sounds around you, visually observing everything around you 360 degrees. Look everywhere. Feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. Be mindful of any scents that you can smell. And as you climb into the sand pit to get on that swing, the sand is really warm and soft underneath your feet. And go ahead and find your seat on that swing. And as you wrap your hands and fingers around those chains to start to build momentum to swing as high as you can, pumping your legs, your body's going to go higher and higher as you pull forward and backward to build momentum to get that swing going as high, higher and higher. I want you to look around as you're swinging higher and higher. When you get as high as you can go, I want you to look up in front of you in the sky, not too far off, is a door. That door is going to open. That door allows you to go to the other side, to meet with loved ones. When you are ready, well, I'm going to count to 3. And if you are ready and you want to do this, let go. 1, 2, 3. Jump. Feet first right into that door. Hopefully, whatever you are experiencing on the other side is a connection to your loved ones. Be open to who meets you because they know more than we do. Be open to understanding that if you are meeting somebody there that you might not have been expecting, it's for your highest and greatest good. But when you meet with your loved one, wrap your arms around them. Use your senses to take it all in. And if you are getting emotional, it is okay. Release. That's what crying is. If you have a hard time making that jump or finding the connection, it is okay. You can try again. That's why I'm recording it on the pod. What I will do now is, for the sake of the podcast, I will continue talking. You can pause if you need your moment to be in that connection. Take as much time as you want or as little time. You can always hit pause. For all of you today that may or may not understand why or how this all works, or thinking I'm something special or other mediums like me are something special, we're not. We just took the time to invest in our education so that we could help those who are grieving, because the mediums that I know, the ones who are real, and there are a lot of us out there are fewer scammers than there are truly good mediums. Everybody reads different. Everybody has a different way of doing things. We should all be having a beginning, middle, and end of a story, whatever story Spirit is telling us. Oftentimes, they will come through because they want to give the person that they loved some form of closure or healing or something. So I want you to know that grief doesn't block connections. It can be the doorway to it though. And if you need help, if you want to reach out, you are welcome to do that. I can be reached at csmuckmediumship@gmail.com. I'm also on all of the socials at Pink Lion Mediumship. If you need to reach out for more mental health help, find a therapist, get into some sort of counseling, or just you need a place to go. We are building communities for people to go and just talk. Okay, so if you want to ask or, like I said, reach out in any way, feel free to do that. There are a lot of, you know, free options out there because people are just wanting to help people. There's also, there's just a lot of different things that you can do. So if you need that, reach out. I will be here. I appreciate you being with me today and being open to hearing what I had to say. Don't dismiss things that come to you. Trust yourself. Listen to your own instincts. If you feel like you're making a connection and you just want to have it validated, feel free to drop me a line. I'm happy to help you decipher it. But you probably already know. That's my guess. But I'm happy to validate it because that's how the brain works. Thank you so much for being with me today. I want you to have a great weekend. Happy Memorial Day. And I will be back next week with a special guest. I can't wait for you to hear his story. Take care, everybody.